Alrighty, traders. This is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Daily Roundup webinar. Hope everybody's having a great trading session. And I was just reading a note from Barclays, and they summed it up pretty good. It's really messy out there. We're basically, you can say that we're in a risk-off type of environment in currencies where you're seeing the dollar strengthen. The commodity currencies are underperforming for the most part, but it's still very sloppy out there. And right at this moment in time, you're seeing some like I'll give you an example. So the euro's bouncing, right? And if you're a ForexAnalytix subscriber, you just got the last update on the hourly chart on the euro. We're seeing a little bit of a bounce, but you can see in the cables pulling back pretty good, which has allowed for the euro pound to bounce back. The Aussie's still trading very heavy, which is risk off. You can see how we completed that double top. That's the hourly double top. It's already done and over with. But what we did find is support down at the 70-30 level. This is obviously very important support for the market. The Kiwi also has found some support, and we might bounce back towards the 80s. The dollar Canadian really strong today, even though the Bank of Canada left rates unchanged. The dollar Canadian just is trading really strong, and that weakness of the Canadian has to do with obviously the Bank of Canada, obviously some risk off, and obviously crude oil, which is down here near range support. I mean, we're closing in on it, on range support. And you could actually argue that we might be at support right now. I actually think support's a little bit lower, but that doesn't mean that, we're not, we could do this, stop here before, retesting these lows, that type of thing. Which, again, that I'm just trying to illustrate why the Canadian might be so weak, on top of that, being a Bank of Canada interest rate day. The dollar Mexican peso had a nice bounce. If you are, if you knew what I did this morning, I sold it this morning. I'm actually starting to nibble back on the dollar Mexican peso right now. I'm a little concerned that I don't understand why it's acting so poorly right now, but it is. You can see the dollar Mexican peso has already come down. We're testing a 50% retracement. The 618 comes in around here, around the 21. That's a 618 on an intraday basis. It's going to come down around 2105. But I do think that this offers a good level for some longs from a risk reward perspective. I think I talked about that during the FACE webinar, where if you look more on a daily chart, or actually, I think I did a 4-hour. Hold on really quick. On the 4-hour chart, if you're risking, here, your entries like here, and your targets are, up towards 22. I mean, it's a good risk reward when you start dipping into these areas, because you know where your risk is at. And as a trader, you guys hear me say this all the time, but it is, where do we, where's our risk? How do we manage our risk? And where's the best place for us to get into that trade and manage the risk? Like, so for the example of the dollar Mexican peso, I believe it's down here as we approach 21, because your risk is below 2080. And then then what you're looking for could be 22. It could be a lot even higher than that too, especially if we go into a quote unquote risk off type of environment. So anyway, that's what I'm doing with the dollar Mexican peso. I got a question from Jason. Hey, what are your thoughts on the Aussie New Zealand and the Euro Aussie possible targets? Aussie New Zealand is trading really heavy, and I'm a little bummed out that I didn't take it off the table when it got to channel resistance this morning. Some people did, and I'm happy that they did. I was thinking that the spike low, yesterday, during the changeover would have been it, and we would have found support already at the 106.20s. But man, this Aussie dollar is just trading heavy compared to the New Zealand dollar. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't go too much further, because my stops are getting close. I'm not risking much below these lows. Matter of fact, I think only a few less than 10 pips below those lows. So I want us to hold here, but I'm not holding my breath, if you will. The Euro Aussie still looks great. I still have some Euro Aussie, not a big exposure, but the Euro Aussie's had a nice bounce off of the 50% retracement. So I think if you're long the Euro Aussie, I think you got to just be careful as we approach these highs. Once again, above 67, you got to start thinking, okay, how much do we have left in us? But a lot of that is also going to depend on, where do equities go at this stage? That's going to be a big question. You guys got to keep an eye on these yen pairs. I was also reading from, and this is from one of the banks that we follow. They had by the time in the morning when I read the note, they'd already picked up a half a yard of currency, which is, $500 million. It's 500 million worth of currency, and the dollar yen on this dip already. So, a lot of that is end of month, if there's end of month demand there in the dollar yen, but I believe that we're below this triangle. And I think if we can close below 104.50, because Amira was asking me about the dollar yen, we can close below this 104.50. I think then, and stocks, don't bounce. Then we're starting to look at what Asia is going to do with the yen. And if you look at all the other yen pairs, like the euro yen is just come unglued, now we are testing these lows, obviously. Pound yen broke out of a triangle, Aussie yen broken down, New Zealand yen's going to, trying to play some catch up here, but the New Zealand yen could start coming under pressure. The Canadian yen broke through trend lows here. So there's a lot of risk to these yen pairs. And you imagine if the dollar yen drops back below 104. Sorry, guys, if you can hear my dogs, excuse me really quick. Sorry to scream at my dogs. This is the time of year where the weather's really nice. There's a lot of the weather's nice. There's a lot of people walking around, and my dogs like to bark at everything that goes by. Anyway, so I think if you look at the dollar yen and it breaks below, through support, through like this 104 area, we're going to see some serious downside. And just from the guys that I talk to, most of them are really targeting, down towards, 102, 101 type of levels. Jason said, hey, I'm not a premium subscriber, but thinking about upgrading. Do I share a lot of the bank research that you receive in the chat room? Not a lot of it, just stuff that I think is pertinent. I tell you guys some of it, and in the chat room, Citi might give us some positioning on their clients, and I'll share that. Or let's see, like here, this is let's go in the chat room here. You just kind of see. This is on top of stuff that I talk about too. Crap. Was it this morning? That was this morning. Still going this morning. Like Citi did like their euro. Oh no, that was their positioning. They did crap. I don't know where. Anyway, it's in there. They talk about their 2017 analogy on where they see the euro, which, spoiler alert, it's lower. But I think the euro trading down towards 115 is pretty much what they're looking at too. That was like their chart of the day. I think it was yesterday. I can't remember if it was yesterday or today, but anyway, so do I share everything? No. If I think it's pertinent and I think it's worth noting, I do. I'll talk about it. And sometimes I mention it here too. So, but Jason, we'd love to have you, man. And Jane says, Blake, we share end of month flows. Oh yeah. And then, obviously end of month can be big, so, and right now it's supposed to be dollar demand, which is just going to quite possibly increase, as we head into the end of the month. So you got to be a little careful fading the dollar, I think. Okay. All right, guys. Well, overall, let's talk about like the patterns in play. So the dollar yen, I'm short some dollar yen. I'm trying not to get super aggressive yet because, even though we've come out of this triangle, I'd really like to see us, see what we do. If we get down to this 103.80, you can see this trend line I've kind of drawn out here. I'd like to see what we do here first, see if we, find some support. But if we can hold below, these lows, then I'm going to start targeting, much deeper move towards, 102 down here. So, but I like the prospects. The only thing about the dollar yen is not, it's hard to put your finger on exactly what's moving it right now. Anyway. All right, guys and gals, I hope you have a great afternoon. For those of you that are ForexAnalytix subscribers, thank you so much for your support and patronage. I lost of words there for a second. I hope you guys have a great afternoon, evening. I'll see you in the chat rooms, or I'll see you on the Face webinar tomorrow. All right, guys, have a great one. Thanks.